Man, what's next for Diego Lopes? Because, like I said, man, Diego Lopes is a legend in the making, and I knew he was going to win in the first round. I thought it was going to be by submission, but he won in the first round of the by knockout, TKO. It was a pretty good knockout too. Bryce Mitchell would be the best thing for him because not only does Diego Lopes need a big name like he deserves, but I also really need something to incentivize Bryce Mitchell right now because Bryce is one of my favorite fighters at 145. And he has surpassed my expectations, especially with that Edson Barboza win. Now, I was on his team during the Ilya Taporia fight, and we all know how that went, unfortunately. But bounces back against Dan Ige, which was a pretty solid win. And I felt like that was the fight that he should be fighting. That was good. He won that one, but there were even times where Ige looked like he was a threat to Bryce. It just feels like Bryce isn't as dialed in sometimes as he should be, which is okay. If actually no, I take that back. I don't think it's all right. I understand that Bryce is in the truther community and talking about the Bible and the earth being flat and God and all that stuff. And if he's a devout Christian, he's a devout Christian. I myself am a Christian, but I'm not a going to let it take away from what I got to do for my everyday human existence. But it just sometimes seems like he's so hard pressed on spreading the word of God that he forgets that he's got to fight too. And I like it, the Holy Bible in the octagon and winning and donating to Dan Ige's community, being a net positive, right? It's just I really hope he stays active because when he starts going down the conspiracy realms, um, you know, I would love to talk to Bryce one day about the Antarctic Treaty and all that stuff and why I should be skeptical about Antarctica and NASA and the Challenger space shuttle and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love having discussions like that. Those are fun. But uh it just feels like sometimes he'll either get cocky now or he'll just not be as active, and that could affect his game, especially in his prime fighting years, like we're seeing right now, where he should be becoming the best guy he could be because he does have a lot of potential. Like I think Bryce Mitchell, even moving up to 155 to fight some guys like Paddy Pimblett at 155 would be a good fight for him. Um, but I just feel like that activity, I don't know where it's going to go. But to get that, I think Diego Lopes would definitely be that perfect one because Bryce and Masvar were like supposed to be rivals. If he beats Bryce or Bryce beats Diego Lopes, the winner of that fight fights Mavzar because one of those people has to either rematch or face Mavzar. There's no other way that this is gonna happen, dude. Like that's I think Bryce needs to fight Masvar finally, and win if we're gonna talk about him being in title contention or even an Ilya Taporia rematch for that matter. But also Diego Lopes deserves a rematch with Masvar because he's definitely growing as a fighter, and I feel like if he goes back, he could probably finish Mavzar if he brings his A game, and he could be that guy to do it because he doesn't have a ranking by his name yet, but he has put himself just on the map that he needs an opponent. So yeah, Bryce Mitchell versus Dan Ige. I want to see Bryce Mitchell be the next opponent because I need something to incentivize because as a fighter, I really want to be behind Bryce. Now, when he goes on the Eddie Bravo show and talks about the shape of the earth and stuff, he's gonna be able to do that whether he's a fighter or not. But I feel like sometimes that consumes his life a little too much to the point where it gets in the way of robbing Bryce from his full potential because Bryce got so many tools. And when you see a guy that's your age that is built to be in the UFC, like and has the gift to be in that octagon, right? And you see him kind of like sometimes waste that, right? It makes me mad because it's like, dude, if I was as good as you, I wouldn't be wasting that talent. And that's what Bryce is. He's a talent. And what we could learn from Conor McGregor's career, wasted talent is the biggest tragedy there is.